Welcome back to Gearwire.com. My name is Bill Holland, and you are looking at the JoeMeek SixQ. This contains a preamp, photo-optical compressor, and JoeMeek equalizer, which is a form of equalizer, of course. We have balanced and unbalanced outs, instrument ins, mic level ins, and line level ins. Now let me explain really quickly what makes this unique. Many compressors are designed to be transparent. Most audio equipment on the high end is designed to be transparent. This particular unit has a colored sound all its own. But if you want that sound, it's a great thing to have, especially on vocals and instruments like bass. Why is it great on bass and vocals? Here's why. It contains a photo-optical compressor. The photo-optical compressor consists of a light source that corresponds to your input gain. As the input gain or light source increases, it's hitting a photoresistor. The photoresistor controls the gain reduction. So as the resistance goes down, the gain reduction increases, thus creating a different type of compression than what you're probably used to. It's actually very useful for handling very wide waveforms like bass tones and sub-bass. So let's get closer and take a look at the controls and how this sounds with a keyboard. After this demo, we'll do part 2 where I bring Owen in and he's going to bring in his guitar and bass, and we're going to see what kind of tones we can get out of that. Here we have the preamp, the far left section of this unit. You'll see phantom power, an iron switch. This is for switching up the mic transformer, 20 decibel attenuation pad, a line switch for turning line signals on and off, and a phase inverse switch for inverting the phase of the signal. And then we have our preamp gain, which you'll see if I turn it up, it'll actually give me a nice analog distort on the signal I send through it. Now to turn the compressor on and off, there's a switch right over here. Turns the compressor on. Now the compressor is on. Turn this down a little. Now you'll notice, unlike most compressors, this says compress instead of threshold. Something to keep in mind when using this, this will be in reverse from a normal threshold control. Your positive values are over here and negatives are over here. As I take it further down, it will compress sooner as the audio signal comes up. So instead of here at -10, it will start here. If I were at +10, it would be higher up. So you see what I'm saying? As your audio signal fluctuates, the lower this number, meaning if it's in the negatives, the sooner it's going to compress that signal. Now to hear how that works, I'm going to turn my ratio up. The ratio is the depth of how your compressor approaches the waveform. So like 3:1, for example, means that it takes 3 decibels to increase what would normally take 1 decibel to increase in volume. So if you get 3 decibels of audio coming through, it's only going to let 1 more decibel come through instead of 3. I'll show you how that works. Notice how when we get to the end, we get this really, really sharp, fast attack on the compressor. Now also notice that if I take my compressor level to positive, it does less compression. This is great for making really tight bass lines. Now, attack and release work the same way on any other compressor. This is a fast attack right now, meaning that the compression is applied automatically. Let's apply a more extreme form of compression, though. And set the attack to slow. And let's bring this preamp gain up a little bit. See how it just automatically jumps on it? Now if I do this, but then you're getting peaking right away and it sounds pretty bad. So I'm going to take it down a little bit. Now the release is how long it takes the compression to let up. So let's say we have it goes down, takes that level down right away with the attack. Turn that up a little bit so you can hear that. Hear how long it takes it to come back to normal. So if you had a snare in there, if that was a bass drum and a snare, for example, you would actually be burying your snare and you would lose everything but the kick. All right, let's move on to the Mequalizer. So here we have the Mequalizer. You'll notice one of the interesting things here, we have our low signal, our mid, and our high. However, we also have a mid sweep and a low frequency sweep, giving us greater control over that EQ. And there's also a 6 kilohertz switch here for the highs as well. Let me play this back real quick. So you can see what happens. I can increase my lows, my mids, and my highs. Now if I use the sweep, the filters here, it allows me greater depth of control over my frequencies. And then I can go back to my compressor and play around with how that sounds. So now that I have my Mequalizer set where I want it, I have my bass very low, I've rolled off a lot of the highs, I can go in and decide how I want to compress it. Turn the ratio up if I want. Now as I take the threshold way down here, what's going to do is it's going to make it so now there's no dynamics in that signal, and it's just a flat bass. It's like a wall of bass. Take it down a little bit. Take this back up, it's going to let more of the signal through. I'm going to take my preamp gain down, output down as well. Keep my attack fast and my release fast as well, but maybe a little bit up. Now listen to what happens when you overdrive the compressor. This is one of the really cool things about analog gear versus digital gear. I can overdrive it, but I'm not getting digital clipping. I'm getting a natural overdrive that you get from analog gear. And then I can go in and use my compressor to change up the values to create a really distorted bass, but I'm not really ruining the waveform in the digital sense, I'm ruining it in the analog sense. But it gives it a really nice warmth, which is actually in some ways preferable for electronic music with a synthesizer. If I take this down, it'll be a little less hard on the ears, maybe take the attack up a little bit. Take the makeup down. I'll be back with more with Owen O'Malley, where we will show you how to use this with a guitar and a bass. This is the JoeMeek SixQ, and you are watching Gearwire.com.